In today's second segment, Alexa Humphreys meets with Rodney Buchanan, the director of Central Dispatch, to ask about police, fire, and ambulance services and how they help normal people during emergencies.
Joining here with me today is Mr. Rodney Buchanan. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm the executive director of Central Dispatch. My responsibilities, I oversee the day-to-day operations at Dispatch, manage our budget, which we operate on a $3.2 million budget, and I oversee our staffing, which we have approximately, right now we have 42 employees.
What kind of, education would you say you would have to have for this job?
For this particular position, for a dispatcher, is that what you're referring to? Mm-hmm. We have to have a high school degree or an equivalent. You have to go through a series of tests, psychological tests. You have to go through a physical test, lie detector test, and a background evaluation by the city police department.
What made you want to get involved with this occupation?
Well, I've been in public service for 25 years, and I left for a short time, and I had the opportunity that there was an opening here for the director's position, and I applied for it and was fortunate enough to continue that service.
Are there certain requirements that, you would have to get this job?
One of the main requirements, as you'll see when we go back in operations, is you have to be able to multitask. We have our dispatchers that are taking calls. At the same time, they're typing certain things into this computer system, and they're also dispatching the responding units to whatever event it is.
How many calls do you think you would get per day that are actually emergencies?
Actual emergencies, probably around 100, 150. We average about 700 calls a day. We get all kind of calls. It's amazing what kind of calls you actually get to 911 center. We'll get calls if you cat stuck in a tree. We'll get calls like that. You'll get people wanting weather information, weather updates, road closings, parking violations. It seems like when people don't know where to call to get a question answered, they'll call 911.
So what procedures do your operators have if they call about a fire or a police issue or anything?
Yeah, what transpires is, for example, the caller would call 911. We have a call taker that is their sole duty that day is to answer the phone, 911, what is your emergency? And as she's taking that call, she's typing manually into a computer, and it's going to the person, whether it's a fire run, whether it's a police run, or whether it's a medical emergency. So the person that's sitting at that particular computer will see the run come across their screen, and it'll show a recommendation on what units to send to that particular address.
The first thing you say is 911, what is your emergency? And then it's basically who, what, where, when sort of questions, what's your name, who's with you, how many people are involved, are there any weapons involved, how many cars are involved, that sort of thing. Just basic information techniques. Yeah, there are procedures for everything here. There's not much that there's not a procedure for. If you have an accident with injuries, for example, you put the run card in, you call the ambulance service, you make sure that the fire dispatcher knows that there's a fire run. If there's a call for a deceased subject, you have to listen. You listen with the dispatcher to see if she needs help with phone calls. You call the detective, you call the coroner, that sort of thing. But there are procedures for everything here.
What would your operators do if a child called and they didn't know the address and they were in need of a police or?
Okay, the way our system is set up, if somebody calls in from a landline from a residence, it'll show the name of the bill, whoever the address is billed to, as far as that provider goes. It'll also show the name and the address, and we'll try to get as much information as we can on them. If they hang up, we'll go ahead and send units to that address. Cell phone's a little more difficult right now to track that. It can be done. It depends what kind of device, mobile device, that the caller has, whether they have a GPS system on their phone, where they can verbally give us information on where they're at. If they can't, we have like a pinging mechanism that we'd have to find what cell tower that phone is pinging off on and try to locate it by that. It's not quite as accurate as a landline. It takes a little bit longer, but it can be done. But the cellular device, the mobile device, has to have that application so we can find it.
If you're talking to a person on the ambulance, we normally connect them to the ambulance service. We connect to AMR, and they take over the phone call. They give pre-arrival instructions and that sort of thing. If you're talking about a female who's in her house who thinks somebody is breaking in, it's just a matter of getting her name, talking to her in a calm voice and trying to figure out, trying to take her mind, keep her mind focused, but kind of take it off of it too. What's going on now? Okay, well, are your kids safe with you? Where are you all at in the house? And if it's quiet, if something quiets down in the background, say in that sort of situation, you try to just talk to them. Talking to people is a lot of it, and talking to them on a level that makes them calm.
How would you handle a suicidal call?
Well, believe it or not, we get quite a few of those calls, and the dispatchers are trained to try to keep that individual on the line as long as possible, try to keep them calm until we can actually dispatch one of our responding units there to take over the situation. But the main thing is to have a dialogue with that person and to keep them as calm and have them to stay on the line as long as they can.
Like to talk about their family and,
Just anything. Yeah, you just want to make conversation. They might want to start a topic. You go with that topic. Or you might ask them about their family, their job, different situations. Just anything to keep them on that line and keep them calm until the first responders get there.
The scariest phone call I've gotten is the Motor Mart shooting many years ago up on 65. That was the worst phone call I've ever had. The caller was one of the people that had been shot, and I had to talk to him, and it was just a big to-do, obviously, and one of the men that was in the store ended up dying, and you can hear him in the background dying, basically, and it was just a hard call to take.
I want to thank you for, taking time out of your busy schedule to have this interview with me.
Most certainly, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it.
Reporting from Vanderburgh County Central Dispatch, this has been Alexa Humphrey.